Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Ain't Gonna Be No Stupid. I am here with Marisa Bonney, and she is someone that I have never met live. This is our first face-to-face conversation, but I have been in touch with her since 2019. A friend of mine lost weight with Isagenix products. I was at my wit's end, and I joined Isagenix and started doing 2 shakes a day and lost 20 pounds. And I felt amazing. And Marissa was always there with encouragement when I said, I just gained weight, or she would be there. So, Marissa, can you please tell us a little bit more about what you do and who you are?
Yes, thank you so much, Amy, for this opportunity. I was ecstatic when you reached out and asked if I would be a guest on your podcast. And I am so blessed to be here today and having this conversation with you. And I hope that this brings value to anyone that happens to listen to it.
Mm.
So, I am Marissa Bonney. I am a single mom of two boys. I am a former CrossFit coach. I no longer coach, but I still CrossFit, and I have been doing that for over 10 years. I also help others live their happiest and healthiest life through a company that I joined almost 9 years ago. Amy mentioned it, Isagenix. And I actually went to college and got my degree in accounting and business administration. And so for some of you, you might be thinking, well, why are you not using that? And I did use that. I used that for 7 years after I graduated in the corporate accounting world. And what I found out was, had I known then, back in college, what I know now, I probably would have never majored in that. And I think it's a great major and great knowledge to have. And it has helped me tremendously throughout my life, but that is not what I was put on this earth to do. That is not my purpose. And my purpose in what I have found is that helping others live their happiest, healthiest lives, whether that's emotionally, physically, and even financially, is truly what I was put here to do. And so that is what I have been doing for almost the last 9 years.
Wow, it is so great to talk to someone who is in touch with their purpose because next week's guest, we talk about that. So this is a perfect
Oh,
connection.
good.
One thing I want to say before we get going into the deep stuff is I like to start with just a lighthearted story of when just you were more innocent and you did something, and it could have been when you got your degree in accounting. You were innocent. You thought this would give you a good job and you would do a good job and da da da. And you realize later it's not wasted. But I'm going to start when I was a little kid, and we both have a similar background in terms of the small town, right?
Mhm.
I remember hating my freckles. And we're going to talk a little bit about obviously our appearance today, but not just our physical appearance. Um, but I remember hating my freckles. And I think I heard that if you put lemon juice on your skin and lay in the sun, that your freckles would go away. And it did just the opposite. I went out in the sun with lemon juice on my face, came back in the mirror, and my freckles were popping even crazier. Now, this is back in the days when we used to lay on aluminum foil and put baby oil on our skin, right? Thinking that would be the way to
Mhm.
do it. All the ignorance, but innocence at the time. But since then, it's interesting. I have some now. I haven't let my face show in the sun for probably 10 years because knowing that ages you, right? But the last 2 years, I've been allowing my freckles to show. And it makes me younger when my freckles are popping now. So now I love my freckles because it makes me look younger. But that's just an innocent story. If you have anything, I mean, it doesn't have to connect to appearance or anything, but do you have anything that you just think about when you think about when we were ignorant, we did it this way, but we were kind of innocent because we didn't know any better, but now we know better. What do you got?
I think for me, when I was little, I grew up, like you said, I grew up in a small town on a farm.
Mhm.
And I think when we're little and we're young, ignorance is bliss
Oh,
because we just don't know much about life. And we're unaware sometimes of the cruelty and how people can be mean because we're just young and we haven't done enough life.
mhm.
And so I was always a free spirit in terms of I wasn't necessarily a tomboy, but I lived on a farm and we did a lot of those things outside and we had no social media and we were running around barefoot and all of those things. But I equally really was a girly girl and I liked to have my hair done and I liked nice things. Even though I grew up in a pretty modest household, I had a wonderful childhood.
Mhm.
And so I think it was kind of the I was I was a girl but I also was a jock, and I was in all the sports, and I played sports, and it was like I could be both, and I didn't think there was anything wrong with that. There was no, I don't know, like, what do we
Or
call that? Like
standard?
standard or an expectation or, you know, from anyone, because we were just being who we were. And
Yes.
so I was, I played in the band, and I was the cheerleader, and I was on a volleyball team and a basketball team, and I did track, and I did all those things, not ever thinking that there was anything wrong with that, and there's not. And I
No.
just feel like as we age and we get older, there's all of these stereotypes and ways society look at us and make us feel like we shouldn't be certain things.
I
And
know.
it's almost like you wish you could go back to that mind you had as a little girl where you didn't really care because you didn't know. And
Yes.
so
I
I'm very
know.
proud of being that way and growing up that way, and I went on to play college basketball and, do all those things, and so, we had that, like, mindset
Yes.
still.
No, we grew up so similarly. I had the modest background in the farm community and also played every sport and also paid my college paid tennis paid for my college. And I was one that you just reminded me. I remember being in high school and we had to pick our classes and there was either drafting or woodworking or home ec. And no girls had ever taken drafting or woodworking. And I'm like, can I take that? And then home ec. Well, I took them both eventually. But then it became co-ed after that. But I remember being the only girl in the drafting and woodworking class, and that was exciting to me.
Mhm,
And like you said, just like the title of our episode, I ain't going to subscribe to what you think I should be, right? And so we're
mhm.
going to talk more about like how things in our life, like circumstances in our life, maybe we were in the valley, which we've both concluded that I think we learn the most from our dark days sometimes, right? In the valley. And how did our situationships, where we would maybe talk about heartbreak, nothing specific, just how that really helped propel us into our purpose? Can you talk about that? And then we'll get into like the bulk of the program. But
Yeah. So when my kids were very young, my oldest was 3, and I had a baby. He was brand new baby. I separated and went through a divorce, and at that time, I I live and I still live in the same neighborhood, but a small suburban neighborhood. It's awesome. But when I started living here and we built this home, all very young families just starting out having families and having kids. So a lot of the people that lived here were just like myself. And so there was play dates and you got to know these new people all in the same time of life, which was awesome. And a lot of those people still live here. And if they don't, I'm still in touch with a lot of them.
mm,
But when that happened, here we were supposed to be like starting this new chapter of life, right? Because again, back to when we were little, we're sort of, it's not that we were programmed or that it was learned behavior, but it's what everybody did and was doing around us, including our parents. It was all we ever knew, was that we were taught to grow up and get good grades and graduate high school and go to college and get a job and do something that you love and work until you retire, and in the meantime meet someone and get married. Like that
mhm.
was just like the general progression of life, and so that is what I did, um not knowing that there was really any other way. This is just what everyone did, right? And I think that old saying, or maybe it's not old, when we know better we do better. And I just don't think I knew any better. Not that I had to, it's just what I did. And so here I was starting this new chapter of my life and having kids, because that was kind of the progression. And I was really the first one of anyone I knew to go through a divorce. And so I didn't really have support of anyone else that had gone through it. Um, it's funny now looking back all these years, because my oldest is 16 and my youngest is 13. I almost feel like I was kind of like the trailblazer of that time.
Oh,
Like I blazed
wow.
the trail for all the ladies that came after me, because there have been a lot of ladies that have come after me that were from that, original group of people that I have met in my neighborhood. And so I felt, number one, that's just a horrifying thing to go through. And
Mhm,
my heart goes out to anybody that has or is going through that.
mhm.
And so obviously in that time and moment, that really crushed my soul.
Mm.
But I think as time goes on and you heal yourself, all of what happened, like you talked about being in the valley or being in the pit, really, and hindsight's always 2020. Once you
Yes.
have time to heal and look
Yes.
back on things, all of those things needed to happen to propel me into this life of what I am today and who I am today. And back to who we are, and I say that in quotes because we all are who we are,
Exactly.
right? So, do I think we can change things about ourselves? Sure. I think if you put the work in, you can change things about yourself. Um, but innately, we are who we are.
Yes. It
We're
just,
born who we are,
and you were
right?
saying, we talked earlier how it just, as we get older, it just continues to, layers like an onion keep falling off of us, right?
Mhm.
Would you say then you were
Or the layers build up,
Oh,
right? Life
yeah.
life allows the layers to build up and kind of bury down a little
Yeah.
bit of who we are. You know,
Yeah.
things happen and you callous over and you
Hmm.
have to be strong. And don't get me wrong, we sacrifice things when we have children. I always knew I wanted to be a mother. I
Mm,
wanted nothing more, and it's been my
that's
greatest
awesome.
gift and job.
Mm,
Um, but you know, when we have kids, we essentially give a little piece of ourselves away to make room for these tiny humans. So I get that we sacrifice things, but and maybe we lose a little bit of ourself along the way, right? We validate and make
yes.
excuses.
Yes.
But you know, I was born a competitor and I'm still have a very competitive spirit in me. And that got buried down for a lot of years. But that's okay.
Yeah.
I found CrossFit and that allowed me to bring that part of me out again. That was a competitive outlet for me to be who I was. That's just
Yes.
one example.
Yes.
But when people say you really need to just become who you are, I don't agree with that. I think we already are who we are. And
Yes.
the more life that happens, right? The more course of time that goes on and we live through these changes, sometimes that gets buried down. So and I think we talked about this before. I don't think it's so much about becoming anything. I think it's about unbecoming all of the things that we have sort of become or thought we were to really expose who we've been this whole time.
I know. And I think you're right. The society does that to us, right? You mentioned the expectations. You get married, you go to school, get
Yeah,
good grades. And it's really, the system is built to make us conformists, right? So then we can be controlled, which is a longer story than that. But you mentioned how you got to a place where you got married. And I know one of the lies we do believe as people is, this is one of my biggest pet peeves on social media, is when somebody shares they're in a new relationship and the comments say, "Oh, I'm so glad you're happy. You deserve happiness." And that whole lie of like, just because someone's showing themselves with a new person is now, oh, now they're
right,
happy. No, you better be happy before you let that person in your life or you're going to destroy them. Right.
right.
So, gosh, you mentioned a lot too with like CrossFit. And I know you mentioned when we were talking earlier that you had this opportunity I thought was really cool right after the sad destruction of the divorce and what you were going through. Weren't you discovered as a potential model and then were able to do some print work?
Yes. So when my son was 4, I used to get Us Weekly magazine. That was like, as a stay-at-home mom, like my thing. I would read it cover to cover every week. And I was just super into that, which obviously I had too much time on my hands. Um, but in the front cover of the magazine, there used to be a letter from the editor. I know a lot of magazines would have that, or you'd see them in the newspapers and things like that. And they had advertised a makeover contest. And I had walked past the microwave one day and kind of glanced at myself in the reflection and was like, whew, you are really like, who are you? Like, you've really lost yourself.
I know.
And I decided that I was going to enter into this makeover contest. So my 4-year-old took my picture. I wrote the essay. I did what it said. I entered in, and I was actually chosen for. I was one of 3 women that were chosen. They were different age groups, and so I was flown to New York, and it was this full weekend of photo shoots and designers and makeup artists of the stars that made
In
us
and of
over.
in and of itself, just going on a photo shoot, whether you win a contest or not, that will feed your soul in and of itself. Okay,
Yes,
keep going.
yes. And when I was there, the photographer that did our before and after photo shoots, because we each had a spread in the magazine then, had pulled me aside and said, I think you should look into print modeling when you get back to Chicago and go into the city to some open calls because I think you'd be really good for that. And so I did that. And then that turned into, I had an agent then and I got my comp card made and I was a model for about 4 years, modeling for an agency in Chicago. And I would have never done that had none of this happened to me. And so sometimes I think doors are closed. Sometimes we close the door, right? We make that choice. And sometimes the choice is made for us,
Yeah.
whether it's a relationship ending, a job letting you go. There's all kinds of things.
Yes.
But that one, was closed on me and I had to find a way to move forward, which I did. But in retrospect, I had lost a lot of who I was.
Yeah.
And being able to have the doors open and don't get me wrong, doors are going to open, but you have to be bold enough to also walk through the door. And
Yes.
sometimes that can be very hard.
Yes.
And so I ended up doing that for 4 or 5 years when my kids were young and casting calls and a lot of print work. So that was something that was amazing for me.
What was your average to rejection? And you go on a call and then it's like, no, we don't want you. You're too tall or too this, too that. How much rejection did you feel, or how did you handle that rejection in the midst of just with the rejection you'd been through? Or you got every job you went
It
for?
wasn't a big deal. That kind of business, there's a lot of rejection because there's so many people that get called out to these castings. So the best ones were when my agent would call and say that I was hired solely on my comp card. Like I didn't even have to go and cast.
Perfect.
But there was a lot of driving in and out of the city for casting calls that I never got the work for. And my kids would go with me. We used to call them, I used to say, we're going on a mission to Mars. They would never really know where we were going, but then we would always stop on the way home and do something fun for them.
That's great.
But I casted for commercials, print work, web stuff. And it
Yeah.
was great. I post periodically some of the stuff that I find laying around from those times. It's funny to look back.
Well, funny you say you post stuff because you also were in a contest recently for your body. I know if you all saw the social media posts of what I threw out there from Marisa. I know you're either going to hate her or you're going to love her. But there were some pictures that I'm like, what? Oh, sorry. I just screamed.
So yes, there was a contest that was put up about people in just anybody who wanted to enter that was in, the fitness space. That's kind of what the contest was for. It was to be actually on the cover of a magazine. And it was a national contest. So this was not a small thing to enter into. And at first I was like, I don't know if I really want to enter into that. But I had done a fitness photo shoot about 7 or 8 years ago. I had done a bodybuilding competition. That was kind of a bucket list thing. I would probably never do one again, but I did that and then did a photo shoot after that in the CrossFit space. I did a fitness photo shoot and I just felt like I wanted some updated photos.
Yeah.
Just because I needed some relevant photos and I wanted them for myself. And so that was a goal of mine to do. I just turned 45 and I had made a goal and had put it out there that I was going to do another photo shoot to get some current photos. So in March, actually right before COVID hit, right before everything shut down, I did that photo shoot. And there was part of me that was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't enter in again, that fear and worry of what people would think. And then about 5 seconds later, I was like, why not?
Yes.
You work hard.
Yes.
Why not?
Yes.
So I did. And I didn't make it into the final round, but I made it. Oh gosh, it was a while. It was 5-6 weeks, I think.
Yes. So
and it was
impressive.
super fun. Again, we have to drop the fear and the worry of what other people are thinking.
Yes.
Because I think there's going to be so much of life and so much opportunity missed out on if we let that drive us and dictate like our decisions.
I love that. So to get over the fear, I know you're now, I want to transition into you being an entrepreneur as well. But how do you, I know we say a lot of things, you got to just go through the door. How do you get over fear?
I mean, I do a lot of self-development, and have over the course of the last 9 years. The company I'm with actually really supports that.
Mm.
And so I always say it's like a personal development program with a compensation plan attached.
Oh,
That's what I tell people because I have learned more about myself and the tools and things that I can use to get over a lot of that.
mm,
Um, because when the reason and the why of what you do, that needs to be the things that we look at first. We know what we do and how we do it and when we do it and how and the where, what, when, and how. But the why is something that we typically don't think about or talk about, or it's the last thing we're thinking about and talking about. And if you switch that and talk and really get clear on what your why is,
hmm.
and your why will change along the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Your why might be one thing in the beginning and completely change as time goes on. But when I got clear about what my why was, so when it was time for me to go back to work after I had been a stay-at-home mom and I went through my divorce, I knew I would never go back to accounting in the
Hmm.
corporate world
Hmm.
because that did not serve me as a person.
Yeah.
I was working for Friday, I was working for 5 o'clock, I was watching the clock, and I wasn't happy. And then
Hmm.
I'd get the stomach ache on Sunday night because I had to
Hmm.
go do this commute. Um, and that is no way to live. And
Yes.
so at one point I was like, is this really what my life is? Is this it? Am I going to do this till I retire like everyone else does? Like,
Yeah.
we only get one life. And
Right.
again, my life could change tomorrow.
Yes.
So living each day to the fullest and really being happy with the decisions I'm making,
Mm.
I mean, to me, I would have gone and cleaned houses. I
Yeah.
would have gone and done that so I could make my own schedule if it meant not having to go back to the corporate world and so I could still be there for my boys.
Yeah. And if you think about the Monday to live till you're to 5 o'clock and stomach ache Sunday night, that to me is a very fearful, like a very, I'd be afraid to live that life. So to not get into your purpose because you now know your why, I think that would be less fearful because you're stepping into what you love and your passion, you know?
Right. And so for me, obviously, the why can be I need to support my family and make money. It's
Yeah.
okay if your why is that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But your why typically does evolve as time goes. And
Yeah.
so for me, my why was my boys. I
Mm,
wanted to be able to be here for them,
mm.
never miss any sports stuff or school stuff, volunteer at the school when they were little. And I was able to do all of that.
Yes.
And so for me, and most importantly, being an example to them, I didn't want them to see a stressed out, unhappy mom that was never there for them. And I get that some people have to work out of the home, and that is that's amazing
And
too. And
and they
even
might
if you
love
don't
it.
want to, I know people do things they don't want to
Yeah.
all the time. But for me, that was my why of really stepping into a space that I knew nothing about and had never done
Well,
when I was approached.
it sounds like you value comfort and family and being there, being present for your kids and being
Mhm.
in the moment with your kids, right? Instead of that life has gone by and it's like, what just happened? So I love that you've done that.
Right.
So, was Isagenix always a side hustle or was it something you started right away, full throttle?
Well, when I was approached, I was coaching CrossFit at the time. Um, but when I looked at that, it's like, am I going to coach CrossFit for the rest of my life? No, didn't want to really do that. And it wasn't like that was paying that much, even though
Mm,
I super loved it and super enjoyed it. And
mhm.
that's why I still do it because I really love just that piece of CrossFit. But
Yeah.
um, it started out, I just started to do for the products. At first, I was a complete skeptic about the whole thing because I was like, I eat healthy. I'm coaching CrossFit. I I don't really need this. This isn't really for me. And I had said no for 8 months and did a lot of research on my own time and found out that that is not what it is. It's not just weight loss. It's not just um, shakes and that's it. It's not about an unhealthy cleanse. It's about what is it that you're looking for? What solution are you looking for? Some people, it is weight loss. Some people, it's I want more energy and better sleep, and I don't want to be so stressed out all the time.
Mhm, mhm.
Some people want better performance in the gym. Some people just want to replace their breakfast and have some healthy options for kids or themselves, or vitamins,
Yes.
and we have all of those things.
Yes.
So solutions for everybody, no matter what their goals are, no matter what their age is, just to have them be healthier and happier and be a little bit better. So it's about well-being.
Yeah.
It's about whole body health.
Mhm.
This isn't about replacing whole foods with pills and powders. We all eat lots of fork and knife food, but we just can't get what we need from whole foods alone anymore because of the nutritional deficiency in foods. So we fill in the gaps.
Truly.
And it's amazing what happens when you fill in the gaps and give your body what it's missing from those other sources.
Truly.
So that is what I learned. And what it did for me in those first 30 days was something I felt like everyone should know about. I think
Yeah.
sometimes we walk around and we feel good. We feel fine. I'm good. I'm fine, right? We tell people, but we don't really know what feeling good is until we actually feel it. And
Yes.
that's kind of how I felt. Like I thought
Yes.
I felt good. And then I was like, wow, this is what good is really feels like, you know?
Well, it's the lies, like, the food pyramid they'd give you. And just like you go to the regular doctor and they do these blood tests and they say your blood tests are fine. What I found out recently at this integrative doctor is I'm fighting two viruses that have been in my body for a couple of years, if not chronically. And
Wow.
that's why I have this inflammation. So I kept telling my regular doctor, something's wrong. She's like, you're fine. And now I went to this integrative Lyme specialist. He is giving me a protocol now that's going to get to the viruses, because viruses are always in your system. But I wonder if it entered my system. May have been earlier. Might have been. This might go back to high school. I don't know. But I know I was telling you I'm gaining weight. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong. And I really believe we're going to get to it when it comes to this virus.
What a relief too, that you feel like you have some answers.
Yes. Yes.
Oh
And
my gosh.
that's why this whole
I mean, I don't want to say I'm happy for you, but I am happy for
I'm
you
so happy
that
for
you're
me. I am
getting to like the bottom of this.
absolutely. And it's so if you're not getting the right answers from one doctor, I would highly always recommend go get the answers you need if it is a doctor. So like if Isagenix, I felt great on those products. I still am on those products. And like you said, our regular American diet is not the farm we grew up on, right? It is not from the dirt food. It is processed and it is sprayed with pesticides, and there's things, I don't know if you mentioned fork and knives as a phrase, but there's an actual Netflix documentary that I referenced in
Right.
my last podcast about why he went vegan was after watching that film.
And
So
it's still from the dirt food, but because of all of the years of the pesticides and herbicides and fungicides, it's broken down everything in the soil that there's no nutrients in anything coming out.
yes,
So, so we're not literally starving as
right,
a society, but we're nutritionally
yes,
starving
for real,
as a society.
for real. So
Vitamins, nutrients, and minerals starving.
yeah, absolutely. Wow.
So,
So let's talk about the before we get into your 4 3 2 1. I want to talk about the latest, craziest, amazing product that Isagenix has come up with. That the deadline is in a couple days with the special you have going on. So
yes.
please enlighten us to this. If I wasn't wearing a mask every day, I'd be more tempted because I love that I can cover all this.
Well, you
But
can see my results and
yes,
then maybe,
yes,
maybe give it a try. But
yes,
so Isagenix has really kind of, I mean, I've been with the company for almost 9 years. So I've seen a lot of change and a lot of different products, and the evolution of what's gone on. And so Isagenix is really moving kind of a different direction in terms of their rebranding. They have, a new vision statement, new logo, but really they're moving more towards just well-being, just being a little bit better every day. Whole body health, this is for everyone, and we just want you to be a little bit better. So they're moving to all biodegradable packaging that will all be, it's kind of going in phases. So they've already started that, but always staying on the cutting edge of what's relevant in, in the world. We have a lot of products for gut health, which is super important because our gut is connected to so many things. Probiotics, digestive enzymes, collagen, bone broth, just a lot of new things that have come out.
Mm-hmm.
But we just had the biggest, most exciting launch of any product that I think in the company's history that they have ever had. And it's been 10 years in the making. Our new type 1 marine collagen elixir was just released. And there are so many things that make this different from any collagen that's on the market. It's been super interesting and fun getting educated on this because, again, when we know better, we do better. I was taking a powdered collagen out of a plastic tub and thinking that was good. And I'm sure there are some good things about it. But honestly, I was doing it because everybody said that was what I should do, right? Everybody was doing it. Okay. Again, ignorance on fire. But what makes this different is that it's type 1, which is type 1 collagen is the most abundant form of protein in our body. And so type 1 collagen mimics human collagen the most closely. And our marine collagen is sourced off the waters in Norway, Scandinavian waters.
And I'm Scandinavian. That explains this. No, just kidding.
But it is such a bigger dose than what you're getting in anything else. So we have a 5-gram clinical dose in each individual small glass bottle. And the reason that it was packaged like that, and I'm bringing that up, is the technology and the packaging. We are the only company in the world that has that right now. The individual recyclable glass bottles, because what happens in those tubs of plastic tubs of collagen, anytime it gets opened, oxidation occurs, and that messes with the quality. And because ours are bottled within 0.15 seconds into these recyclable glass bottles, there is no oxidation and it does not require preservatives. And so that is a big difference of our product compared to a lot of others. Not to mention, it's got aloe vera, chamomile, goji berry, acerola berry, but it also has biotin, zinc, and vitamin C, which we all know with everything that's going on, how important zinc and vitamin C are right now.
And
so
doesn't vitamin C has to be paired with collagen for it to activate too, right?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
That's great. Wow.
So it's been very exciting. I'm on day 2.
That's exciting. Are you doing 2 a day or one
I'm double dosing for the first 30 days.
And are you doing the most expensive one?
I got the 6-box After Glow bundle. Okay. Yes.
Is that the
and for new customers, they pay less than I pay.
Oh,
the promotion that's going on right now for new customers
Tell us how much.
New customers will pay $184 and get free shipping on the 6-box, which honestly could be a 2-month supply if you were doing 1 dose a day. Or you could double dose every once in a while, but that would last you quite a bit. And then the 4-box is $160. Plus you would still have to pay shipping. So it just makes sense for new customers to get the 6.
Can you mention that hole? You said something about there's a metaphor you use for why we need collagen.
Yeah, as early as age 25, I think somewhere in your mid 20s, into getting closer to 30, the collagen in our body starts to diminish. And the analogy I use is like having a bucket with a hole in the bottom and it just keeps dripping out and there's nothing we can do to stop it. And so we need to be putting this in our bodies to keep the collagen production up. And the results that I'm seeing in even just 10, 20 days, people are, posting their progress photos. And these are people that I know personally this is not photoshopped. This is in natural light. The hydration in their skin, the diminishing of the fine lines and wrinkles. We can never claim to cure, prevent, or heal any disease, but just in what I'm seeing, not only even just on the outside, the cosmetic stuff, but it's just really good for our health and for our insides.
Well, I was just going to say too, like the joint, like I'm over 50 now, so the joint issues can be, well, it's probably due to inflammation, but doesn't collagen help with your joints and
Well, the
ligaments?
different types help with different things. So
Okay.
type 1 is hair, skin, nails, and tendons. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
Yep.
Great. 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 Well,
Yeah.
this
So
is so
it's been
cool.
very exciting. And I am super excited to help anyone really with any of the things that they're looking to be better with.
Yeah.
Um,
And Marissa's great. She won't pressure you. She's just enthusiastic about what she has. So if you do reach out, please reach out, because I think this collagen is some good answers to what ails us. And it's not just about cosmetics and how we look. But it's interesting you
right.
mentioned.
And it's just about finding out what your goals are. Um, timing is everything. If you're ready, we talk about what your goals are, and I recommend things that I think could help you.
I
That's
love it.
all. I just sometimes I think when we want to make a change, whether that's relationship, job, whatever it might be, the fear becomes so much that we just decide to stay where it's comfortable, right? It's easier to stay where it's comfortable, but nothing really grows there. Like it's a cozy place, but nothing really grows there. So I always say to people, and including myself, you want to change, but you're too scared to take action, right? That's like the whole beginning piece of it. So you need to ask yourself, would you rather deal with the pain of staying exactly where you are, or the pain and uncomfortableness of growth? Like in a year or 2 years or 5 years, it's going to be more painful to be exactly where you are today than the pain and uncomfortableness that you will have to go through to get you where you want to go. And some of that pain and uncomfortableness are going to come from those that you love, family, friends, people that you're closest to. And so you have to make that decision. It's just like being in a bad relationship and staying in it because, well, I guess this is just, it's better just to stay because I mean, at least I have an income coming in and I have a house. But at the end of the day, or a bad job, you know, well, I'm making decent money, but I hate my commute and I'm a miserable person and I'm miserable to my kids when I get home and I'm stressed out and I hate my life. That's all. You got to choose your hard.
That's so
That's
good.
that's way harder than getting out and potentially making the change to do what you really want. You know,
Oh, so
that's
good,
all. I
Marissa.
just want everybody to be the best they can.
I know. Okay, well then let's transition into our closing, which is a 4-3-2-1. You're going to give us 4 books that you recommend, 3 bits of advice, 2 things that would the great way to start your day, and then 1 thing that everyone should have.
Yes. So the 4 books, I made a list over here. The Carpenter by John Gordon. If you have not read that, I highly suggest. It is a very quick read, more of like a parable, but great life lessons in there and something you could read in 1 or 2 days easily. I even think my kids should read that, honestly. Untamed by Glennon Doyle.
I
Just
just read.
started reading. I haven't even finished. I already know everyone should read it.
Yeah.
Amazing already.
Yes.
Um, Business of the 21st Century, Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh, I
If you
love
have
him.
never
Rich
read
Dad,
that book,
Poor Dad. Yes.
yes, yes. If you've never read Business of the 21st Century, definitely read that. I am on the second time reading it, or maybe even my third time, but it's definitely something that you could read and revisit. So I'll never have that one off my shelf. And then kind of back to what we talked about in the beginning, for anyone that has gone through divorce or may be going through it, one of my favorite books since getting that during that time, it's called Happily Ever After by Kristen Armstrong. That's Lance Armstrong's ex-wife.
Oh.
It's it's written in the form of, you could read 1 page a day or you could read 10 pages a day, but on each page there's a Bible verse at the top, and then she kind of breaks it down into like what it meant to her, or how you can understand it a little bit better in your own life. And I still to this day will go back and look at a lot of the earmarked pages that I have, because oh my God, it's such a great book.
Oh,
Such a great book.
I'm
So I
so
wanted to mention that one.
I love this. I'm going broke reading the ones that my guests are recommending. This is great. 3 bits of advice.
3 bits of advice. Never take advice from someone that you would not trade places with. And there's going to be a lot of people that come into your life, maybe for the first time, but this also could be friends or family too. And that is not to be mean, but really think about what people are saying to you and how much to heart you should really be taking some of that stuff.
Love it.
That's the first bit of advice. Other people's opinions don't pay your bills. So again, life can be very hurtful and people can be very mean. And honestly, as long as we're being good people, the opinion that somebody else has is really none of my business.
I think that's Eleanor Roosevelt you're quoting, or who knows?
Yes.
It was really her.
It's really, sometimes it has more to do with that person than, what they're going through than it even has to do with you. So keep
For
that
sure.
in mind.
Projection, yes.
And really, everyone needs love and everyone needs to be prayed for.
Yes.
So
yes.
we all have a story. We never know what someone's walking through.
I'm going through that. Like you got to bless those who curse you. And that's a tough lesson to learn, right? You feel like a little victimized, but yet you got to be like, nope, Lord, bless them, pray for them. As hard as that is, but yeah, that's good.
And then the other bit of advice is what is coming is better than what is gone.
Oh, that's true.
And as we start this year, I believe that.
I do
2020 was rough, but there was a lot of really good things that happened in 2020. Really, a lot of things I think I'm going to look back. And I know this might sound weird to say, but I will miss. There will never be the opportunity to have some of that time that we had.
We had so much time.
And so as it was super horrible and it's not over yet, the best is coming.
I agree completely.
It's better than anything that's already gone.
When something gets shaken up, it becomes better. It has to.
Yep.
That's great. Oh, so
decide.
I love that. 2 things to start your day with.
First thing in the morning, but before you grab the phone and start scrolling social media or checking emails, because we're all guilty of that, write down 10 things you're grateful for. And on some days, and it doesn't have to be 10, maybe you start out with 5 or 7. Some days are going to be really easy. You might have 15, and some days are going to be really hard. But there is always something good in every day, or something, and it could be super like, I'm glad I woke up on time. I mean, it could be anything. But it really sets the intention for your day and kind of the mindset. It doesn't matter how healthy we're eating, or what our body looks like if we're not right in our head and our heart.
So true.
And so if we don't have those things where they need to be, none of that other stuff matters. Right? Yeah. We're not healthy then anyway.
I love that.
And then fuel yourself with a healthy breakfast. I do believe everyone should be doing that.
So forget this intermittent fasting.
For you. Right? I don't know what that is for you. Some people don't eat breakfast, but definitely fuel yourself with a healthy breakfast. I'm not a breakfast eater in terms of a plate of food or cereal, but what I do in the way of a meal replacement shake has been amazing for me. And it's 30 seconds and it's quick and easy. My kids drink them, and that's what does it for us. But whatever it is for you, make sure you take that time to really, again, set the intention, fuel your body so that you can be the best you can be for that day.
Good. Oh my gosh. Okay. One last thing that everyone
have a plan B, you guys. And I don't mean the birth control pill. If 2020 showed us anything, it was that sometimes we don't know what's coming. And when that happened, a lot of people, even some that are very close, personally in my life, were affected in very major ways. I mean, we were all affected in very major ways, emotionally, physically, financially, all kinds of things. But the world is changing. Obviously, we know this. The way business is conducted is changing. The economy is changing. Stores are closing. Businesses are closing. There's more business being done online, um, delivery services, grocery service. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And thank goodness, especially in the times that we're in. But if you have a job that you work out of the home and you love it, or don't love it, good for you, because there's a lot of people who don't. So that is amazing. But I believe everybody should have a plan B in terms of another stream of income, whatever that might be. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the company I'm with. I welcome with open arms anybody that wants to join me or wants to hear more, but find something you're passionate about and do that in the pockets of your day. You can have a full-time job and still have additional streams of income coming in. But when things happen, say someone gets sick and you have to take time off work to be with them, whether it's a child or a parent in the hospital, how amazing would it be to be able to be there and still be getting paid?
Yes.
Because your company's probably not going to pay you.
Mm.
And companies sometimes have to let people go or close doors, not because anything was ever wrong with you. They might look at you and say, you were our best employee. We love you, but we have to let you go.
Mm.
And that's sad too. Sometimes we choose to leave, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
And so to have a plan B, an additional stream of income, that's why I didn't know it at the time when I first started, but this became a business for me, and it's been just a blessing every day.
Wow, Marisa, well, if we want to be a part of what you do, where can we find you?
So this will also age me too. So this is kind of funny. And I'm not going to let other people's opinions. I'm on Facebook. You can find me under Marisa, Marisa Thomas. It's my maiden name. Bonney, Bonney. My Instagram name is also the same. No spaces, no underscores. Marisa Thomas Bonney. My Isagenix website is marisabonney.isagenix.com. And my email is marisabonney@hotmail.com. And I will never get rid of Hotmail. I'm just going to tell you.
Hey, I thought if you said AOL, I'd have been a little concerned, but you have Hotmail. Oh, Marisa, this has been such a blessing. I feel like I just totally learned.
One more thing.
Yes, one last. Yes.
And this is from a woman who inspires me a ton. Her name is Margot Drake. Most people probably don't know her, but I just want to leave everyone with this last statement, that you can be, do, have, and give anything you dream because God and greatness is inside of you. And she says that to her kids. And I have started telling that to my kids and texting it to them. And I just want anyone on here that's viewing this or listening to know that that pertains to you too.
Amen. Thank you, Marisa. Such wisdom.
You're welcome.
Such wisdom. What a blessing it's been to spend time with you today. I appreciate you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. This has been